Just wanted to say thank you for being here for number 8 of our 8 small business workshops that we have had. We're so glad to have you here. If you missed any of our workshops, they are available on the Mesquite Chamber website, so you can go back and watch those and be able to get all of that information. We would like to say thank you very much to all of our partners. We have 2 partners that have been partners with us for this small business workshop, all 8, and I'm going to introduce them to you. This workshop would not have been possible without them, and we are so appreciative of them. And we want to start with Julian from Spectra Bank, and he's going to tell you a little bit about Spectra Bank, and he's going to introduce our other partner for you.
Good morning. My name is Julian Willman. As she said, I'm with Spectra Bank. I'm a commercial lender there. We're a small community bank. We focus on small businesses. We generally don't deal with very large corporations. We deal with guys who are looking to buy a building, running a store, looking to expand. That's our kind of business. So small business is our business. One major focus of our bank is check cashing businesses. So we deal a lot with that, and there's a lot of need for that in DFW. Cities like Mesquite, Garland, Dallas, Fort Worth, where we operate as well. So as I said, our focus is mainly on the small business owner, the franchisee that's looking to expand, or looking to purchase that first business. That's where we come in, and that's what we love to do. So that's us, Spectra Bank, small community bank, and I'd love to talk to any of you afterwards. Please come talk to me, and with that, I'll introduce Brandon, my co-sponsor.
Well, good morning, Chamber. Again, my name is Brandon Cooch. I think I've met most of y'all, but for the few of you that are new to me, at least, I'm the Director of Business Development here for America's Credit Union, and we are one of the co-sponsors alongside our friends over at Spectra Bank. And we're just so privileged to be here with you guys. For those of y'all who have been here with us through all 8 sections, this has been an awesome time, just diving into the resources for you guys in our community and the future of our community to better further your business. We are really privileged today to be able to introduce to you our president and CEO. But before I do that, just a real quick background on us. We are a local financial institution. We're a credit union. And what's really special about us is we're actually a not-for-profit financial institution. This gives us the ability to reinvest back into our community and our shareholders in really, really special ways. And one of which is, doing things like this and being part of our Chamber of Commerce and providing resources available to you guys in the community. We don't dive into the business aspect of the lending or the banking side, but we are focused on primarily personal banking. So anything that you guys need personally as business owners or your employees as benefits to them, we want to be a resource for them. We want to provide to them anything that we can. So if there's anything that we can do for you guys, please don't ever hesitate to ask or reach out to us. We're really passionate about everything local. And that's why today we really have the honor and privilege to have our president and CEO, Mr. Bert Beal, here with us today to continue to talk to you guys about your future continued growth as business owners. So with that, I don't want to take up any more of y'all's time. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Beal.
Just a little bit of introduction about myself. As Brandon said, I'm CEO of America's Credit Union for 25 years. So in doing this, when he asked me to do this, I thought, well, I'm not a business owner technically, and this is not the space that we're in. Julian and his group, they do all the business side over there, but it works well for both sides. We do a lot of personal stuff. We used to do business loans and do business checking accounts and business accounts way back in the day. I say way back in the day, back 09 and 08. And we will eventually get back into it. I said, for right now, it's about supporting your small businesses and how you guys work to keep your finances and keep your money together. Like I said, I've been around and I've been CEO here for 25 years. Started up in the credit union industry. I think most of us in the credit union industry, Mr. Community included, been around different places for a while. And that gives us the ability to make these networks. I said, so one of the biggest things that you guys can do is network with each other. I think this is a good forum. The Chamber has brought a series of people. I think you've talked about taxes, you've talked about capital, you've talked about growing capital. I said all those things are good for you to have in your business, but you also need to understand what it takes on a daily basis to run the business. So one of the things I want to do today is just kind of go through quickly through some of the things and some of the problems that you all have run into, still running into, but knowing that you're not by yourself and you actually can manage those a little bit better. By a show of hands, how many have been in business for more than 5 years? Or did that backwards? How many less than 5 years? Okay. And then more than 5 years? More than 10 years? 2? More than 15 years? Fantastic. So I'm going to say 15 years, 20 years? 20 years? That, more than 20 years? 25? How many? Since you last? 27 years, okay. The reason I did that is because over the last 27 years, you have gone through a lot. There are a lot of ups and downs. One of the things that in a small business, anybody running a business, anybody running a department, it's when you feel like quitting, remember why you started. 27 years ago, you had an idea, or something came to you, or somebody let you do it yourself, but you're the expert on whatever you're doing. Not necessarily always the person behind the scenes that knows everything about the finances of the business, know how to run that side of the business. I have an idea. I know how to make that work, and it doesn't always make us the best of the best because we got to get the work out there. When you start to plan your business and doing your market research, and you got to establish how much your cost is going to be, funding in the businesses and buying it or franchising it, all those are good ways to get money. All those are good ways to keep the market at bay. And I say the market at bay is because you're just going to be a little small piece of that market you're trying to break into. And all of your equipment, all of your people, all of your network is going to have to go focused toward growing that business and keeping that business going throughout all the cycles. Now, throughout this, my whole speech, presentation, whatever, any questions you have, this is for me, since I'm wrapping up the whole thing. Anytime you want to stop and say, hey, I got a question, what do you think about such and such, just jump in and let me know. One of the big parts of the business is, and as I go through these, and I was telling Brandon earlier, as CEO, I have been a business owner or business leader for about 25 years. So everything that you're going through for the last 27, I've been doing for the last 25. So as I talk and share my things that you see on the lists up here, on all these lists, these are things that we've had to do as the same thing. Locations for our branches, for our corporate offices, for our facilities. We need to make sure that we're in the right place and we've done the right research that will actually make us stronger. Our tax structure, being a credit union, we'll get into that whole conversation, the credit unions versus banks. And people will look at it and say, well, you know, what's the difference? That's really the only difference is the tax structure. We do everything that Julius can do as credit unions. The only thing is we don't have the ability to go out and ask for money. So, you know, they can go out and say, hey, investors, give us, you know, $5 million, whatever. We can't do that. All of our income comes from our reserves that we get on an annual basis. So naming the business, we've fought many times and still fighting about trademarks. So when you get into your business, make sure when you choose your name, you do the research to make sure somebody else's name is not out there, because you'll be working around 5, 6, 7 years and want to do something to explode and somebody else has that name. That is a huge problem because now you got to rebrand everything because you can't use that name anymore. Just little things like that. Your license and permits in the state of Texas and any other city or country that you're going through, you got to make sure those. Bank accounts. Who signs on those accounts? Who's available? The big thing about on the small business side is if something happens to you, who can get to the money? Who can keep the business? This is an entity now. This is not necessarily just your household. There are people that are relying on your services. So you have to make sure that if something, and I don't mean dying, if you're incapacitated for a little while, you need to make sure that you can have people that can step in and run your business until you're able to do that. Yes, sir.
Would you think that's a good place for key man insurance?
Key man insurance, yes. And that's another thing about the business insurance. You need to evaluate who that is and how important that is. Sometimes I say not necessarily, because I will also tell you to make sure that you have a good accountant. And if your accountant is as good as you want him to be, he can be your key man. Not necessarily for your business, but this person has the rights to all my financials. Anyway, I said, so if something happens, you can have him being the signer over the business and you can make all that stuff legal. So yes, key man insurance is a good place to be. That's if something happens to either that key person or to you in doing that stuff. So it's a good, makes you sleep a little bit better at night.
Expand on that a bit for those of us that don't know what key man insurance is? What does that really mean?
It basically means that you appoint someone in the company, outside of the company, whatever, that you can ensure that if something happens to them, they can get onto the insurance, or they can get onto the accounts or whatever, and that's all sit into your bylaws, that this person is able to do that.
I would say it's extremely important if you have an entity where you're not the sole proprietor. You want to make sure you have key man insurance for a lot of different reasons. Someone is traveling or incapacitated, it doesn't have to be a life or death. You want to make sure that the business is going to continue as far as bills are going to get paid, payrolls are going to get paid. The key functions that you're going to need to keep your business going, key man insurance is going to be a vital part in that.
Yes.
And including insuring that person in case something happened to them.
Yes. Yes.
Like you said, that'll be in your bylaws and it'll be in your guidelines.
So you have to look at this, and my family and I go back and forth, is if you have a will or not. Basically, it's the same thing for your business. You need to structure your business that says, if something happens to me, the monies, the equity, the capital goes and continues to go here. This person is assigned to, or you could even, I've seen some people do this, go in with other business partners and say, hey, you know, we are good collaborative partners. If something happens to me, I want you to take this over. You know, and you can set that up in the beginning, and vice versa. And a lot of people can do things like that. And it's like, hey, you know what? Or I'm getting close to retirement. We talk about funding. Buy me out. You know, can you buy me out and do that? Or you don't have to start from scratch with the franchises. You can also buy someone else's business. She was telling me her son is getting ready to get into sales. One of the things people do is, hey, I'm going to take all the salespeople over here, and we're going to come in. We're going to start the same company ourselves because we have the same networks. And all those things kind of help you to keep that idea going and fostering.
More like an acquisition.
Absolutely, acquisition. And merger, you know, acquisition sounds a little harsh. The merger is, hey, we have two good skills. We have clients in common. Let's put them all together and make it bigger and use our capital to do that. There you go. So same thing with managing your financing. A lot of small businesses, and this is just by nature, kind of run the finances like they do their own out of their back pocket. Basically, when you're starting out, you tend to mix those funds together. Do not do that. You have a specific area for the business, no matter where you are, you know, just a two-person business that does, I don't know, $10,000 in sales, all the way up to billions of dollars in sales. You have to keep that money separate because, for one, tax reasons, and for two, the cash flow, that company needs to be self-sustaining. Same thing with your forecasting your budgets. And these guys, you know, Julian, he will talk about when you go to get your loans, or try to go to the banks to get loans, you need to be able to show them that, one, I have a budget, I understand the budget, and the forecasting is through the next 5-7 years. People say, well, why do I have to come up with all this? It's because I need to understand that you understand your business. I need to understand if I'm making you this loan, that you're going to be around the next couple of years because you're thinking about what's going to happen, not just by chance. And one of the other big things is, and again, I'm talking from my point of view also, is staffing. Recruiting employees and good employees and keeping people that are, how do I say, not shady, which is a huge thing, is some people you trust. Staffing is huge and it's hard. As the economy goes through downturns, it's even harder to do that. When it's going through upturns, you get people that are in, I'm just here for a minute or two, how much can you pay me? I'm not really interested in working, I'm more interested in finding ways that I can line my pockets. So staffing is always extremely hard and hard to keep up with. You've heard this before, all your different financing options, you know, SBA, you know, does a lot. You can do it in investors, you can look at franchising, but on this chart up here, and I apologize, this bottom part got cut off, but it's not really relevant. The average cost to start a business among small businesses, you know, they went out and asked this on this survey. They asked 1,000 people and said, what do you think it costs to run a business? 27.3% says $250,000 to $500,000. Only 3 to 7 said under $50,000. So it kind of gives you an idea. It's not cheap. And it depends on what you get into. Some businesses you can get into without any. There right now is one of the biggest businesses as influencers are doing. Basically no overhead, you're doing it out of your house, you're making money. I said, but it's a huge deal to get followers. It's a huge deal to get people to look at you and do your products and stuff. So now everybody thinks they can be an influencer. You basically have to, I think I saw a calculation where it's basically 7 cents per thousand that you can make on that. So you need to have about $10 million to make, I think, $70,000. I'm sorry, 10 million followers to make about $70,000.
Like affiliate marketing?
Yes, yeah, on the internet, and that's what they're doing. If the government shuts down TikTok, there's going to be a lot of disappointed people. Now, a lot of people are doing really well, but that's what they say. And I was like, you know what, I'm quitting my job, and it's going to be an influencer, I'm going to do all this stuff, and it works good. Some people go viral on some certain things. I said, but that's putting in the work every day, and that's a small percentage of it. But for the most part, when we go out and we start our businesses, no matter what they are, from a lawn care business to a chemical plant, you need to make sure that you understand what it's going to cost to get into that business. Other financing options. Obviously, most of us go to the banks. The bank's going to expect a history. They're going to expect you to have budgets and business plan, which you guys, I think, have in your series have talked about some of these things. Profit and loss statement. Basically, today, because of technology, for small business people, you should be able to show me your profit and loss statement on your phone. And so basically every day I can tell you what my business is doing. Yeah, it doesn't change much from month to month, but if I'm looking at inventories, if I'm looking at ways of bringing in, if I'm looking at expansion, I need to know on a time basis what that looks like. Tax returns, banks, we ask for those. Credit reporting and Dun & Bradstreets and reputations that you have, we have to look at all of that. People are like, well, how do you get a credit report for a business? Well, when you started out, you really won't have one. The credit report is yours. I said, so you really can't go in and borrow money on a small business for the first time without it being your own credit supporting it. So hopefully you can keep that straight as you try to grow your business. And the longer you're in business, you can actually have the business use its own credit. The business is basically standing for itself. It can borrow the money. You may be a co-signer, you and your executives or the people that you have in your bylaws, but at the same time, it's going to look at and say, okay, we're finally 5 years in, you've made 3 loans, you've paid them back fine, we're going to put this solely in the business name. And that's where, on our side, on the banking side, it's a little scary because now we only have the actual business to recover. So if something happens, the company gets bad, you don't pay. It's like, well, I can't go down and get a lawnmower. I can go down and get a lawnmower, but it's actually not going to be one of those things that has anything behind it. So I'm selling all the assets and everything else to make my money back. And that's kind of what we have to do. Some of the small business problems, I think most of you all can recognize most of these. Recruitment and retention, like I said before. One of the things, I can throw a plug in here for us, like I said, we don't do business loan right now, we do personal stuff. So benefits, the benefits that you have for your employees, the cheaper benefits, and I won't say cheap, inexpensive in the sense of credit unions don't charge. And it's actually really easy for you to say, hey, working here, you can actually have your accounts over the credit union, you can do whatever. We also have, we in the industry also have banks that have affiliations with different companies that you can go to, but those are benefits. So do whatever you can to recruit people and say, hey, look what I have for you. I can do this, we can do that, whatever. I can't pay you a whole lot, but we can do a lot of things a bit flexible on time. We can go out and see that we have so many days a year we'll give you off. But at the end of the day, I need you in the office working, but it's going to be a good culture. So recruiting is a really good deal. Inflation and price increases. It's not all businesses are impacted the same way for inflation. In downturns, businesses that use basically rent and things like that, they go up. And when things are really good, those businesses go down. It's just depending on what part of that market you are in right now. As far as the banking industry, I know a lot of you guys heard last year, a lot of the banks were failing. A few of the banks failed. Government came in and helped out on that part too. But that's all a process of what the economy was doing. And most banks survived okay and will survive okay. We've been around, actually this is our 90th year in business. And of course, obviously I hadn't been there quite that long, but I'm getting close. Securing lack of capital and cash flow. Prioritizing your cash flow and securing lines of credit. Securing the part of line of credit. A lot of business people don't know. They wait until they need the money before they try to borrow it. That's not the time to do it. When you got your things going well, things are going okay, go in and secure you lines of credit, because unfortunately, credit and financial institutions, we hesitate, or we look at things really carefully when you're pushed to the wire. You absolutely have to have it. It's like anything else. But when you don't, it's like, look, I don't need this, whatever. I don't need this credit card. Well, that's the time to apply for it. I was talking to someone about credit the other day. She was trying to establish hers, and she only had 2 credit cards, and her credit score was really low. I said, well, you need to apply for another credit card. She says, well, I don't want any debt. Well, it's not about the debt, it's about the amount available that you have. And now the credit report looks at all that stuff. So same thing with running your business. It's like, if I'm the bank that you're coming to for finances, or I'm the investor that you go into to look to invest in me, well, if you don't need it, then now, if you come to me for investments and say, oh, wow, my debt is almost 90%. That gives me pause as the investors, because the only reason you're coming to me is because you need my money to keep your business going every day. But if you come in and say, oh, my debt's on 25%, it's like, oh, how much do you need? Because I want to be a part of this, because you're running your stuff the right way. Even though 7-8 months down the road, something big is happening, you're getting prepared for it. You need to do that before. Supply chain issues. This last few years after COVID and during COVID, all the inventories and trying to boost your inventories and finding alternative products was a big thing, because people couldn't get the things that they need. I will tell you, though, when you do those things, be transparent with your customers. And you're hearing that a lot now because of the economy and the way things are as far as how much things are at the grocery store and whatever. I said, so right now, you have to be transparent. I got to raise your prices. I got to raise my prices. It's not because of that, but the same price of lumber is not the same as it was before. He says, I'm not trying to get over, I'm not trying to make more money. You heard that, so we're trying to do that. But I want you to know I'm still the same person, but I got to pass some of that stuff on to you. Just imagine if people were still pricing what they were in 1999. It's like they would basically be running themselves out of business, because that's not what they're paying for the products that they're using. So be transparent. Marketing and advertising. Those you probably need to outsource. Unless you're an expert marketer and your business is marketing, outsource it. In the beginning, you may not have the money to do that. I said, do some of it. I said, but when you get to the point where you can, no matter if it's just a little bit, let the experts do it. You will spend your time and your money trying to market to different things. And it's like, well, that wasn't even your market. That wasn't even your segment. That wasn't even your community. But this guy sold me this ad, and it was such and such. Well, you didn't get anything for it. So use people to help you to do that. And there are a lot of places that would do it for low cost or no cost. Or you can start a lot of, in which that, in the industry of having your own business, you'll get partners. Hey, I'm going to go in there with a deal on this over here. It's going to be $5,000. We're going to get a billboard or whatever. I said, let's go half on that. And it's in a good area for us. I can do this part, you can do this part. We can collaborate on some of these things. So make sure that you're spending your money wisely on your marketing. In our industry, this is huge. You can see the top one up here. 23% of fraud comes from credential attacks. And that's $6.4 billion. So credentials are everywhere. It's your personal identification, it's your business identification. There are many times we get people that use businesses to fraud other people and use their influence to fraud the businesses. So you need to make sure that your cyber threats are shut down. And there's a lot of small businesses don't have a lot of technology going on with them, but just your name, just all the things you have out there. Just imagine if a fraudster gets a hold of your business information, they can ruin you on that part of it. So for a bank, a financial institution, credit union, these things are hitting us every day. You all hear this, the DDoS, denial of service. That's just an easy one. Basically said, we got your data, we got your thing, you can't get into anything. We won't even let your customers use you. Pay us a ransom and we'll let you have it back. those same things happen to you in your small businesses. It's just like, hey, we had an easy route. They got a website out here. They got this out here, whatever. We're going to put all this stuff on this business. This business is not huge, but it's a threat that you guys have to go through and watch and look for. So make sure that you put this on the time. And it's getting huge. I mean, we keep talking about it. I hate people keep saying it, AI. AI is huge, and it's a great thing. But as anything out there will be people that find ways to take advantage of it. And you can have people looking and making models and actually showing posts of you saying things that it's not you. And those are detrimental to your transactional risk, or your reputation risk, all that stuff. So make sure that you have things in place to take care of it. Also insurance. So there are insurances out there. So we, as an institution, we have bonds and we have all kind of insurance to help take care of that, because we don't want any of our members, our customers, to be able to suffer. We don't pass any of that stuff along. We make sure that if you get hacked, if your account has things in it, we make sure that you don't lose anything, because that's something we have to take care of. So we take care of you. Same thing with your businesses. You guys are going to have to do the same thing. So anybody got any questions?
What is DDoS?
Denial of service. Direct denial of service. Yeah, so basically they go to your website or they go to your phone line and you can't get in. Your customers can't get in and nobody can get into it, so the ransom comes in, yes. Yes, malware is the other side. It's internally, we have your data, you can't get to your system. Nobody else really knows, but you can't get to your systems and things, and we'll let it go if you pay us X amount of money to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of times that's the only thing that it can do to get the information back, is to do that. And so imagine getting hit with a couple of $1 million in the middle of the week, when you're trying to make payroll and trying to do everything else. That's huge. So
That's something that you can have insurance against.
you can, yes, you absolutely can do that. It's cybersecurity threats, cybersecurity insurance. Just talk to your business insurance line and they can tell you, depending on what business you're in. I mean, I have a good friend of mine. He has a very prosperous lawn business. He doesn't have to have a lot of that kind of stuff. He's not out there doing it. Say, well, my lawnmowers are cranked and I'll do whatever. So as long as I can get my billing is a thing. I told him, I said, well, you know what? Your billing systems are tied into that also. I said, I didn't really think about that. I thought, yeah, so just the little things. The computers are everywhere now. So, and people are after you on every corner to get money from you in your small business. So. Any other questions? How many of you all have credit union accounts? Excellent. See, that's Julian? Yeah. He does. I'm just calling him out just because, yeah. Well, it's on the credit union side, it's a really good tool for families and going up in personal and doing the things you can do. We give you great service. We're in the process of rebranding everything. I don't know if Brandon shared anything with this. Well, he shouldn't. But we're rebranding and we're getting ready to do a whole lot of things that are going to be different. But we pride ourselves on technology. So yes, this is a huge threat for us, considering though we want you to be able to do everything that you do right here on your phone. And bigger than that, it's going to be to the point where this is the branch in the sense that you don't even have to talk to us. You talk to chats, you talk to whatever, it's just basically going in. So that's what the world is going to right now. If you're not there, if you're not close to that, you are missing the boat, because that's where everybody is. And that's where the younger generation, most companies, I won't even say financials, most companies are trying to woo the younger customers to come in, and guess where they are? They are all on the apps and the phones and whatever. If it's not there, I don't want to use it. So we got to make sure that wherever you are in your businesses, that you're actually doing the same thing too. So, yes, ma'am.
I have two questions kind of on the far end of the spectrum. So the first one I'm going to ask is regarding to being able to offer an employee benefit such as we can provide you credit union membership.
Yes.
How is that unique compared to I can come join the credit union? Is there some other programs that are available or eligibility that they might not meet?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and we talk about structure, one of the things about credit union is you have to have a defined space. Our credit union, America's Credit Union, is you live, work, or worship in several different counties. So it's community based. Back in the day, credit unions were, you worked for AT&T, we're AT&T Credit Union, you had to work or related to somebody that worked for AT&T to be able to do that. Well, if you don't live in one of those counties, you don't work for one of those companies, and you do whatever, and you want to join the credit union, it's like, well, I love your services. I love the things you can do. I'm hearing these great rates. I'm thinking, whatever, how do I get in and join? I live in Johnson County, and and I work for myself, and blah, blah, blah. I says, well, your company, working for yourself, says, okay, America's Credit Union, I want my company to be a part of the credit union, and we can do all the stuff and follow things to get that. And everybody that works for you and your company can now join the credit union. And related to worship with or whatever can join the credit union.
So
That's the
if
benefit.
And this would apply, this is kind of general rules around credit unions.
Yes.
Whatever their membership guidelines are.
Yes,
Just
exactly.
Like USAA, I'm like, no,
There you go.
my brother-in-law doesn't count.
No, and that's a great example. The USAAs, the Navy Federals that you're hearing now, all those are military people. So if you're not a military people or related directly to a military person, you can't join. It's like, oh, all these TV ads, I can't do anything about that. So we can go to you individually and say, hey, you come in for your companies, and everybody that's associated with you, because you did that, can join the credit union, and it doesn't cost anything.
So thinking about my son's likely new venture with, if his company doesn't offer
Yes.
anything like that, he could suggest that.
Yes.
To the managers or to the owners of the company, say, here's a benefit, it's not even gonna probably cost you anything, but.
Doesn't cost you anything.
You can add to the list of benefits.
Doesn't cost you anything. Now, his company could be in the region of another credit union, but for you, you have the privilege of saying, we, as my company, my sewing company, is a member of America's Credit Union. So everybody that comes here and work for us can actually come in and join the credit union just because you work for us. So that's a good benefit to have. And then, patting ourselves on the back, and Brandon, is when you come in, it's, oh my God, where have I been all my life? This is the best service I've ever had. These people know me every time I go by in there. I go on the line, and these rates are great. So it's one of the best kept secrets in the country that people do it. But because of the fintechs, and you know what fintechs are, financial technology companies. What are some of them, Brandon? SoFi and Greenlight and all those companies like that. The young Chime, yes. The younger people are going to those, and they don't have any relationship whatsoever. They don't have branches, they don't have whatever, but it does what I need to do. It does what my friend said it did. He has it, he does it, he's going on to it. So this is what my bank is now. This is the only thing I know.
Costing them more than if they had the opportunity to join a credit union.
Yes. It really kind of depends.
But it definitely doesn't have the brick and mortar.
And a lot of times, no, it definitely, absolutely. Brick and mortar is not necessarily necessary, but it doesn't have all the features, the financial literacy, all the other things that we can do aside from that to make you a good person, or a good financial person, I should say. All of that help that you can get for the credit union, and locally. Those companies are national companies that are not around because they're on the internet, but and most people like to have, I feel like I belong to something. And this is the best belonging you could ever do. And if it's a good relationship, years and years and years, I know people 30, 40, 50 years, that's my financial institution. That's what we do. And we will always be for the little guy doing that. So.
Dave Ramsey kind of leans towards telling people.
Most people on financial networks will tell you that. It's for personal. Personal for your personally, you can't beat it. That's the way to go. So. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any particular businesses that you all would not take, or is if they wanted to offer this to their employees? Or is it
Yes and no. And this is the same that anybody would, and I have to preface that in illicit businesses. I've heard that there are clubs like that.
on the CBD store. So a lot of times I don't own a smoke shop. I own a CBD store. It's a retail store. I'm in a shopping plaza. I'm not a one-off. I have to follow very high standards according to the shopping center. From my sign to my store display, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep running across a lot of,
Pushback.
No, I mean, it's known it kind of wears me down. It's a great business, but it wears me down because from the financing to the banking accounts to credit cards, line of credits, offering things to my employees. Like we have employees that they come in, they sell, they do a job, they're educated. I have to get licenses. I'm not a gas station. I'm going through a different process. So just trying to find what I can offer them and what are the business that I need to now start considering that I want to open that's kind of detached from that, because from day one, going into 4 years, that has been like a challenge every day. So a lot of personal finances have went into this. I mean, like a hit to the pocket. It went into, you know, growing the business, and people are always asking, well, how do you all sustain? Because it's been a lot of personal, a lot of errors, growth, things that we're learning, you know, day by day by day. So those are just things I'm saying. Is there alternatives or options, or is that something that you all may be looking at?
So the problem with that is marijuana, the whole industry around the marijuana is not it's not legal and federally. Banks and financial institutions are insured federally. So the state, if the state is legal, the government says you can't touch it if you want us to insure you. You cannot be a part of that at all. So that's why you get turned down from that. Anything now, you can join, but I can't open up you an account for your business in that name. Your employees can, you know, through that for them personally, but they can't do, and they won't be able to get loans and stuff out there like that. Unfortunately, nationally, that's a cash business, and I know people that have warehouses, which sounds so strange to me, full of cash, because they can't put them into banks. They can't do all these other things. As we get closer, to having things legalized, there are people with loopholes that are getting able to do that. But literally, there are people out there with.
It's not a cash business. 90% of our sales is straight credit card.
No. It's not you.
I know.
It has to be cash because I can't put it in the bank.
Yeah, so that's what we're running into.
Yeah.
If I switch it from credit card, which is, nobody has cash, so I don't ever really touch
And as the bank, I can't do the credit card.
Right, so then when I do get cash and you're depositing it, or, you know, you go through all of it, it's like it funnels through here. It's so many, it's
Yes.
a roller coaster ride. And then making sure that I keep my papers right.
Yes.
You know, from licenses and COA, you know, making sure that I'm right.
Yes.
And because I normally work in banking.
Yourself?
See, I'm on
Your side job?
My side job, so I'm going two ends of the spectrum, and I'm just kind of figuring out like where do you fit in? When they make it legal in Texas, it'll be a little bit easier for you when this state is, because there are a lot of state institutions that can actually do in some of the loopholes and things like that. I said, but that's not going to even be that big yet until the government says, yes, illegal. It's going to be hard for people to do anything on the mainstream financial issues because we can't. They shut us down for things like that. So, you guys, meaning people that are in the business, when you go from state to state, that's the issue. If you go to a state that's legal, well, we have our own laws here, the same different from the laws over there, so you still run into problems. So Canada, it's legal in Canada nationally. That opened up a lot of doors for a lot of different businesses like that to be able to move a little bit easier and faster. And maybe one day it'll get like that here, but until that happens, it's going to be a hard road on the financial side for you guys doing that too. And you can look out and see there are some of these companies, there's some huge dispensaries. And not just, and here's the really sad part, it's not the dispensaries necessarily that's getting really hit by the growers, the farmers, the people that are doing all that stuff. They can't either. Because if your primary business is to grow marijuana and sell to dispensaries, you can't bank with us. You can't do that.
So and I tell people all the time, when you're starting a business, you don't have to come up with the greatest idea to do the greatest thing. For instance, I didn't have to learn how to make a car, to be Henry Ford, to drive a car. I have a friend that has a patent on the wheel locks, multi-millionaire. He has a patent on the wheel locks. I said, so little things that this is a big idea, but just give me my little part of it. And there's money out there to be made for that, for sure. So. Yes, yes. So we're always looking for that little support thing. It's like, yeah.
The guy that invented the readers on the toll tag, on the toll booth?
Yes, yes. All that. Just imagine. So there are a lot of ways to make money. You guys are here to listen to ways to keep yours going, and I appreciate that. The Chamber has provided you guys a great service in this series. I actually, when Brandon told me, I thought, that is pretty cool that your community can go out here and say, my chamber is providing me education for things like that. So I love this, love that. So, yes, sir.
So all your credit unions and your bank institutions, kind of the obvious divide between young people and old people, operational wise, like let's use social media. TikTok is shut down, by the way. I think it is. I think they passed that, the House passed that you can't do TikTok.
Today?
I just read about it real quick. It's happening.
It's probably going to happen. But the caveat with that is we will allow you to still operate if you sell it. So that's where they are right now. Congress is going on, like, we're going to push this down, and it's going to be to the point where if you hadn't sold by the time this happens, you can't operate in the United States. But if they sell it, they can. Yes.
Yeah, so from your business operation as a credit union, and as business operators as we are, we're faced with, making it change or come out of that curve with technology, and we still got customers who don't want to deal with that technology. Give me some insight on what are you guys doing to combat that? Like you mentioned, you're switching totally over to an app, I guess, on the phone.
So right now it's more of a hybrid because you have the older people, me included, that like it a certain way, and even older people that I need to go in and talk to somebody, I got to look you in the eye and shake your hand and do whatever. I said, and so because that's my trust factor. On the other end of the spectrum, I don't even care. As long as, so you think about, well, what do you think about the cybersecurity? Well, the young people, well, I'm assuming that they got all that taken care of because I'm out here doing it. So we have to do it hybrid because I want my older customers to still feel really good, members, and I want my younger people coming in to say, oh, this is no different than what I've seen anywhere else. So it's not an anomaly, it's just good for me. So we have to make sure that we are providing on the younger end, it works all the time. On the older end, it's something that's available when you get ready to use it. I was talking to some people at the conference yesterday, and one of the good things is COVID. COVID made, I hate to use the word older people because I'm there now, older people use technology because they couldn't go in. And they hated it. Oh, my grandson does this for me. We had that 1,000 times. But now I have to do it because this is the only way I can do my business. And now it's like, you know what, this is not so bad. Once you get everything set up, I actually kind of like it. So we saw a drop in our branches even after COVID. Now they're starting to come back, but it's not because these people are not using it. So every time an event happens that makes people more aware of the technology, that helps us too. And if we putting it out there side by side and like, hey, by the way, here, and I don't know what Julian and those guys are doing, but there are a lot of institutions going to big, small, and in the middle, going to virtual. We don't have people in our branches. We only have, virtual ATMs, and we have this, whatever. A lot of people don't like that. If I go to the branch, I need to see somebody. If I'm going to take the time to go to the branch, I want to see somebody. But for us, it's like, okay, we'll have people there, but we also have the others too. So over time, we'll see the lobby individual people start to gravitate towards it. This is 24/7, anytime you want to do it. So, I come up here, I don't get off of work. I'm only off work on Saturdays in the afternoon, so I don't expect anybody to be there because I just go to this machine. And it takes care of everything I need to know. Since COVID, everybody's working from home. Not everybody, a lot of people working from home. And you have people that have extended hours now. It's because I'm sitting at my home on my couch You don't know anything? Well, we've crept it up to a little bit a better area in the sense of, hey, how about you dress professionally and you talk to the people on their iPads. This is a video. This is a live person that I'm talking to. So now it's like, okay, it's technology, but I still get a chance to interact with a real person. There was a commercial I was listening to. I think it's Jennifer Coolidge on there. She's calling at 2 o'clock in the morning about something or another. And she said, Discover. And she's saying, at Discovery, you get a chance to talk to a live person all the time. She says, well, Jennifer says, how do I know that you're not a robot? He said, well, how do I know you're not a robot? He said, so, okay, good point. So, and a robot wouldn't say that. So, it's that kind of interaction. Yes, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but, oh, wow, I'm talking to a real person. We're laughing and we're joking and we're getting things done. So if that's what you like, that's what we're providing. So that's the hybrid. It's like, well, it's technology, but it's also visual, and you can actually see that. You can bring it down a little bit. And eventually, it'll be all technology. 20 years from now, we'll be laughing and say, you remember when people used to go to the drive-through? You remember those things they used to have? You drive and put your money in there, whatever. So I remember before ATMs. I've been in this business for a long time. I said, so ATMs revolutionized banking back in the day. The next thing I think that revolutionized banking was debit cards. So the progress, and now you think, well, there weren't debit cards at one time? No, they were not debit cards at one time. That was the greatest idea people ever came up with. So, and people resisted it because, oh my God, this is my money in my checking account. If something happens to that, I don't have my money. It's like, well, no, but every time, wow, you don't write any checks anymore. Oh, wow. Who's the last time you wrote a check? I will say, I still write checks sometimes, but at a grocery store, at a business, at a retail business, I don't write checks anymore. I said, my kids don't even know how to write checks. My daughter said, Dad, she said, I don't even have checks. They asked me to put a copy of my check. She said, I don't even have a check. What is that? I was like, well, I get you a temporary what you can do if you have to have that. I said, but everything is direct deposit now. So anyway, that's just kind of progression, and life is going to always be there. Lou Holt said once that life is 10% what happens to you, but it's 90% how you deal with it. So that glass is half full is all business owners' mantra. Is definitely the glass is always half full. There's always a way to get out of things. You just need to get around things. You just need to have the attitude to do it. So thank you all for listening to me. Yes, do you have a question? Oh, no. Just telling me I got to, so yeah, well, I'm done. So thank you guys for inviting me, and I'm glad you listened to me. If you have any questions afterwards, I'm here all week. So.